Howdy. This is the print. I don't know. Haven't heard of this before this. But anyway. Environment India. After freak accident, it's full steam ahead for India's first geothermal power project in Ladakh. Among the least polluting sources of energy, the geothermal plant project in Ladakh has great potential. But environmentalists and locals remain concerned. The site of the geothermal power project in Ladakh's Puga Valley. Puga Valley Leh, on the drive from Changatang Wildlife Sanctuary over 100 kilometers away from Leh city in Ladakh, the edges of the rocky sandy mountains grow softest and the pungent smell of sulfur in the air welcomes you to Puga Valley. It's here that India will build its first geothermal power plant using energy from the Earth's core to produce 1 megawatt of electricity, enough to power at least 200 homes. Temperatures under the Earth's surface are especially hot there, or here, where over 80 hot springs can be found. Geothermal energy is considered completely renewable and among the least polluting because it draws on reservoirs of hot water, called geothermal fluid, found deep underground to produce power. The power plant will have wells drilled several kilometers deep underground, and steam or hot water will be pumped up to the surface. This steam will either be used directly to provide heat or to power a turbine to create electricity. Quite much like as a nuclear power plant does. They just heat the water and put it through a turbine to create electricity. That's why they need water. But anyway, to maintain groundwater levels, the steam will be cooled down and re-injected into the ground through an injection well. The print visited the site on 1st September. The ground under Ladakh is the point of convergence for two tectonic plates, causing geothermal manifestations like hot springs to mushroom across the region. The geothermal potential is supposedly highest here in the Changtang Sanctuary, nearly 14,000 feet above sea level, which is roughly some 4,200 meters above sea level. The geothermal potential is supposedly highest here, 4,000 meters above sea level. In February 2021, the ONGC Energy Center OEC, along with the Union Territory Administration of the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council, signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU to set up a geothermal power plant on an experimental basis, producing 1 megawatt of energy. At the moment, ONGC, with help from the Iceland Geothermal Energy Geosurvey (ISOR), is drilling exploratory wells to determine the potential of geothermal energy that can be leveraged. But the uses go far beyond just electricity, ONGC officials said. Yeah, it's late. Geothermal power can be used for heating army bunkers. Yes, and even people's homes, greenhousing, which will save on import of vegetables. It can help with aqua farming. It can lead to the development of hot swimming pools. The possibilities are many, said Uday Shankar, project manager of the proposed plant. A blowout. There are several types of geothermal plants. ONGC officials told the print that the type of plant would be decided after the exploratory drilling concludes and reservoir studies are conducted. The ONGC hopes to drill a 1,000-meter well in its first phase to reach temperatures of over 200 degrees Celsius between 4th and 9th August. ONGC dug its first exploratory well, stopping at 39 meters. Yeah, 39, and they are trying to go 1,000. Stopping at 39 meters when the team encountered temperatures far higher than anticipated, around 120 to 130 degrees Celsius. In the 1980s, the Geological Survey of India, while mapping India's geothermal potential, made 34 borers in the Puka Valley, ranging from a depth of 28.5 meters to 384.7 meters, and found a maximum temperature of 140 degrees at the lowest depth. So, just to recap, the lowest depth 140, and it was about almost 400 meters deep. And here they had to stop already at 39 meters, 10 times less. This was really good news for us because it indicates there's much higher geothermal potential than previously thought. If we were experiencing such high temperatures at such a shallow depth, said Ashan Absar, a geologist with the Geological Survey of India and a geothermal consultant with ONGC. However, on 16th August, there was a blowout. The blowout, an uncontrolled release of geothermal fluid, spewed a dark mixture of breccia, cemented rock, betonite, a type of clay, steam and hot water into the pristine Puga stream, alarming environmentalists from the Wildlife Conservation and Birds Club of Ladakh, who immediately notified the district administration with photos and videos of the eruption. The administration ordered the constitution of a joint committee to visit the site and threatened to impose the Criminal Procedure Code Section 133, Conditional Order for Removal of Nuisance in Public Places, on the ONGC if any violation was found. When the print visited the site on 1st September, the well had been dismantled and no discharge was flowing into the river. Breccia deposits at the site of the blowout. According to Shankar, who led to the blowout, was 20-minute power trip which stopped the cooling mechanism, designed to control the reservoir from working, leading to an eruption. At one point we lost control of the well for 12 hours, but we managed to regain control, keep it down, fill it up and close it. Probably part of the well collapsed while it was blowing. Then we ended up filling it up with sand while it was calm, said Geir Hagelinson, a drilling consultant with ISOR, who added that such occurrences are rare. Nobody expected the energy to be so much at such a shallow depth, he added. ONGC, an oil and gas company, does not have experience in geothermal energy extraction. At the time of drilling between 4th and 9th August, no geothermal drilling expert from ISOR was present at the site. Hagalinson confirmed. Gunsa Stolma, a geothermal expert and research scholar at Reykjavik University in Iceland, said in the press conference on the 31st August that the blowout may have been prevented if drilling experts were present on site. Geothermal exploration and oil gas exploration are not the same thing. This is why you need geothermal drilling experts. The question is, were the experts there at the site? Was ONGC following the rules and instruction of drilling experts? She asked. The ONGC officials insisted the blowout was a freak accident, prompted by a power failure and the unusually high temperature and flow rate of the water they encountered at 39 meters. The company is now redesigning the second well before it begins drilling, under the guidance of ISOR. The site of the second exploratory well in Puga Valley. We have no interest in harming the environment and we will move ahead taking every precaution, said Ravi, Director General of ONGC Energy Center, adding, we are preparing by keeping more tanks and a blowout preventer ready. We have already abandoned the first site and we want to make sure what happened in the first site does not reoccur in the second. While ONGC and ISO officials claim the substances from the blowout were benign since they emerged from a shallow reservoir, blowouts occurring in deeper wells can pose serious risks, contaminating the environment with heavy metals. Concerns about project's future. The blowout was enough to rattle local environmentalists who have demanded that the project be sensitive to its ecological surroundings, given it lies in a wildlife sanctuary of cultural importance. We are not against the project, but we want proper implementation of all environmental norms, said Zewang Namgyal, General Secretary of the Wildlife Conservation and Birds Club of Ladakh. The pilot project, which is spread across 3 hectares, was exempt from both environmental impact and biodiversity impact assessments owing to its size. The State Board for Wildlife also approved the project without imposing any mitigation measures, citing its exploratory nature. Puga Valley is characterized by a dry desert climate and is home to several endangered species such as the snow leopard, Himalayan wolf, and 6 species of wild ungulates, among others. The Changtang Sanctuary has also several high-altitude wetlands that are significant for migratory birds. It is, according to a government report, the only breeding site for the rare black-necked crane and bar-headed goose. There are some of the most productive ecosystems in Ladakh, not only for wildlife but also for nomads who use these high-altitude grasslands for grazing, said Zewang Namgyal, director of the Snow Leopard Conservancy and member of the Ladakh-style Wildlife Board. We need to have some idea of how this project might impact the ecosystem. The long-term impacts of geothermal plants on the environment are not very well studied, but a recent paper suggests the management of geothermal systems should integrate use of resources while simultaneously protecting the diversity of thermal features to enhance ecosystem recovery. Apart from being a source of energy, the hot springs in Puga Valley are significant sites for research into the origins of life and astrobiology, and have been used in traditional medicinal practices. Locals at a hot water spring in Puga Valley. Yeah, it's for free water, hot and healthy. Not too much, of course. Dr. Taji's top guys, an Amchi traditional healer, said the hot springs in Puga are used to help treat arthritic pain, spondylitis, and infections of the stomach, eyes, and nose. I think the project is very much necessary. There is definitely a need for electricity in Ladakh, he said, adding, but I don't know how the technology works. What if it leads to the springs drying up in the long term? Dr. Padma Gurmet, another Amchi and director of the National Institute of Sovarikpa and a member of the State Wildlife Board, said he hoped the project would lead to better facilities for Amchis and their patients, and that there would be a consultative meeting with the ONGC before the power plant is set up. In the nearest village to the proposed plant, Smudo, residents were concerned about the change of color in the stream across their homes. We have electricity, but not in every house. We feel we will benefit if the plant comes up, but when we saw that the stream changed color, we got worried, said Karma Yenden, a resident of the village. Talk of geothermal energy has been going on for decades. It's difficult to work in such an area, so we will wait and watch if the plant comes up. Yes, geothermal activity. That's also something which is linked to geothermal activity. We are now in Switzerland. The park perimeter is made up of the tabular Jura in the north and the least foothills of the chain Jura in the south. While typical table surfaces, rugged rock edges, rock debris, and cracks occur in the tabular Jura, there are more overthrust slumps, landslides, and sinkholes in the chain Jura. The connections between landscape and geology can be directly experienced in many places in the Jura Park Aargau. Remarkable fossils from the time of the primordial Tethys appear in the rock strata of the Jurassic. Young and old hobby geologists have the opportunity to tap for ammonites with a hammer and a chisel at various points. Yeah, I did this too when I was living there still, every now and then. In the sediments of the shallow sea water, there are also layers containing iron, which are nowhere else in Switzerland as thick as in the Jura Park. The mining of iron ore around the villages of Herznach and Wölflinswil has a long tradition and left behind many tunnels. Tufa Ditch. That's the Tufa Ditch. Not too good pictures, but anyway, you get it. There's water pouring out of a mountain. The Tufa Ditch is a rare natural phenomenon. A stream is formed when several springs flow together on the southern slope of the Gisli. The Tufa Ditch is a rare phenomenon. The creek is created from the confluence of several springs on the southern slope of the Gisli and finally flows in an almost straight line in a small valley basin created by it as a diverse waterfall down to the Aare. It is astonishing, even wondrous, that this stream always carries water in all seasons and regardless of the amount of precipitation. Yeah, it's just pouring out of the mountain. Doesn't matter, does it rain or not. Although the flow of water fluctuates, the stream never dries up. So, Gisli, Switzerland. Let's have a quick look at the pictures. Yeah, this is how it looks there. I haven't watched these pictures, but I find these very interesting. But we won't dive into this now. Pyramid. Pyramid light. Yeah, this doesn't have too much. My point is why I show you that. We were talking about geothermal activity. And if we zoom out just a little bit. So Gisli is here. And then we zoom out just enough. We have Schinsnach-Bad, which is a... There's hot springs, you can go to bath there. They are, where are they? Here. That's all hot water. Then, here we have Baden with the most mineral-rich and hottest springs of Switzerland. And these places are all over the place there. And And that's from a paper I found about this water spring we just talked about. Calcareous tuff is formed by lime precipitation from spring water with a high concentration of lime. After the water comes to the surface, carbon dioxide, CO2, escapes into the air. As a result, the water can no longer keep the lime in solution and is precipitated. A low flow rate, warming of the water, and the presence of plants which extract CO2 from the water for photosynthesis also promote lime precipitation. The presence of plants which extract CO2 from the water for photosynthesis. One could think that, hey, do plants need CO2 in order to survive? So, Earth's atmosphere through time. Note, there is also escaping to space happening. Leaking. Time before present in billions of years. Many years. This green line is CO2 and it goes down and a little bit up. So back in the old days when there were dinosaurs roaming Earth, there was much more CO2 in the air. Big animals need to eat a lot. So also the plants were rather big. And they could be big because there was much more CO2 in the atmosphere. And life was thriving, everything was well. They survived for many millions of years. And it went down, 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 down. Now it went just a little bit up. From where it came, originated, and we are down here. So probably it's a good thing it's rising, otherwise it's not possible to live anymore here on this planet. Like, if it would go to zero, I think it would be a really bad thing. So after all, you can think about again about climate change and what stuff they're telling you in the media. Paying taxes to reduce CO2. Really? And at the same time, they try to bring dinosaurs back. Yeah, they couldn't survive here because the atmosphere is so different. Nothing to eat. All those small plants. But anyway, I think I leave it here. There could be so much other stuff to talk about. Be talked about. Yeah, I'm tired. This doesn't work anymore. Thanks. Bye.